One of the most bothersome things about all of this has been the people saying that you can't be a Christian MAGA, because to me that feels totally false. And this is coming from someone who was raised Catholic till about third grade and then was evangelical Christian, deeply evangelical. Think Greta Thunberg's passion for climate change, but instead it's a passion for making sure everyone thinks just like you. I was deeply evangelical from fourth grade until I was at least 18, a few years past 18. Took me a minute to tap out. I'm officially tapped out now. Even when I meet an agnostic, I'm kind of like, all right. Even though I know saying I'm atheist is just as cocky as believing in a god or gods. So yeah, the people saying that you can't be MAGA and Christian, I feel like you're incorrect, because Christians don't read half of the one book that they have, for one thing. Everyone's like, Christians are great if you ignore half of the one thing. It's like me saying Twilight is my favorite series unless you've read the first however many books. Only read the last Twilight. Otherwise, like, no, of course you're not going to like Bella and Edward. Yeah, Jesus, just something about the Bible itself. From New Testament, if we want to say like Old Testament is crap, Jesus sent someone to hell as he was dying. And then his dad, who had planned out the whole thing, these pro-life people know that God waited until his kid was in his 30s to kill him, but whatever. God turns his head away from his kid, and his kid's like, the quote in the Bible is, Father, Father, why have you forsaken me? And the story goes like, oh, there was just so much sin. Like, if all of the sin on the world was on your kid, but you just like, you love your kid, but you hate sin so much that you just still can't even look at them. So they're like, oh, the New Testament God, though, like, MAGAs can't be Christian. Like, no, the kid sent someone to hell because he didn't agree that Jesus was the king, right? That Jesus was the son of God. Like, so guy on the right, he's like, yeah, I think you're God. So Jesus is like, boom, VIP access, you're going to heaven. And then Jesus is like, go fuck yourself, step on Legos because I am God, mother plucker. And then God goes like, oh my God, so much sin. And he wasn't referring to his kid having sent someone to literally burn in flames forever in the place where God had sent his little rival because he got jealous that someone wanted the power of him. So the story goes, right? Satan was an angel at one point, and God was like, oh, you want my position? Like on the menu, when that one dude, without giving away too much of the plot, but he's like, do you want my position and power in life? It's like, yeah, that's kind of what God said to Satan, and was like, well, then fine, you get your own room and your own turf, and you can take all my creations. That'll show you, and that'll show my people they can choose me. Anyways, so that all went down during the famous, like, oh, God sacrificed his son and his son sacrificed himself. Like, they were doing some shady shit even during the one story that they have on their side, basically, right? Like, if we are going to go for Old Testament, obviously it advocates for slavery. The LGBTQIA stuff is like, yeah, there's clearly a verse that's like, men don't lay with men. I always like to say it's a loophole for lesbians, but whatever. So technically Christians, I don't know why y'all are so pissed about women laying with women. So, Abraham like waited forever to have a kid, right? He was like, God, I want this so much. And like, they lived for like ever. So he's like 700 years old, according to the Bible, and like finally has a kid. I forget how old, but it was like, they lived for hundreds of years back then, according to the Bible. So he finally has a kid. I'm pretty sure he was married to Sarah. And I can't remember. Maybe Sarah couldn't get pregnant, so he actually banged the slave. And that's how he actually got this kid, Jacob or Isaac. Anyways, Dad takes his kid up a mountain, and the kid's like, Dad, where are we going? We don't have the lamb to sacrifice. Dad's like, oh, no, yeah, God's going to provide the lamb. The dad then ties his son up to this altar, and the story goes that he has the axe raised to sacrifice his son, and the angel comes in and is like, whoa, 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 partner, okay, we believe you, right? Like, Russian roulette kind of stuff. Just like, we just wanted to see if you would do it. Damn. Like, and God's like, yeah, he's willing to kill his kid for me. That is true love, if you're willing to kill your kid to prove it to me. And then, of course, we have Job. I can't quite remember right now if Job is New Testament or Old. But Satan's like bored one day, right? His Wi-Fi's out, whatever, goes to God, and he's like, I'm still cooler than you, motherfucker, right? Just like rolling his bike around God, ringing his bell, like, haha, I'm on your block, motherfucker. And God's like, okay, you know what? Even if you picked like my very best boy, you still couldn't have him. Like, he's like, my boy Job, go get him. He's like, ride your little bike on over there, go fuck with my boy Job. He will still not, he won't rat on the cops to me, basically. God's like, Job's gonna stay my official. We're like, he's in my top 8 MySpace kind of level stuff, right? He's like, God's like, I've got Tom, I've got Job. And so, anyways, he's like, Satan, go get him. Satan rolls up to Job, and Job is like doing well, right? Because the Bible goes like, because Job was so faithful, God gave him all these things. Satan kills off his cattle, his farm animals, burns down his house, kills his wife and multiple children. I think he had multiple kids. In the end, Job had absolutely nothing. And just to sidestep, they canonized the Bible, which is basically like, you know how Penguin Books, they choose which books to publish. People got together and were like, so imagine the people around Penguin Books, if they were like back then, they'd be like, all right, so who's God breathed? Like, which one of these people sound legit God breathed? Because that's what the Christians say. The Bible is God breathed. Every single word. Every word. We don't read the first half of the book, even though there's a verse that says every word of this book is God breathed. And at the very end, it's like, no one can change this book, or they're like, go to hell or whatever. It's like one of the very last verses, if not the last, in the book of Revelation. So yeah, Job ends up with nothing. So they canonized, and they chose this story. These canonization Penguin Books press agents chose the book of Job to be like, yeah, people need to know about this one, even though all these other authors, females, were like, oh, getting letters like, darn, I didn't get published this time. Publisher perish. So Job ends up with nothing because he got published. So I guess he ended up with something. He's in the Bible. But yeah, Satan kills everything. And there's like this big like, like moment where we're like, oh my God, he's probably so mad. He's probably so mad at God. And then Job's like, no, we're cool. And then Satan has to ride his little bike back to God and be like, okay, he still likes you, whatever. And like, God, there's a story in the Bible, like Lazarus, right? Like gets brought back to life. God doesn't do that for Job. So it's not like God doesn't have that power, like specifically documented power. But he's just like, thanks, man. And Job's like, we're cool. It's fine. We're cool. You're my OG, literal ride or die. Like, it's fine. And then that's like the whole story of Job. And it's just preached all the time. So anyways, these people that like Trump, I guess most remind me, they're Job, they've been taught like, you lose everything, you still praise your God. That's how you prove your loyalty. Trump saying, yeah, I'm going to take this $400 million jet from Qatar. It's fine. Even though some other dude had to give up his peanut farm before he became president because it would be a conflict of interest or whatever. Trump's like, y'all don't need $2, like more than $2. 2 is fine. If you've got $3, holy crap, you spoiled little weird children. I'm going to fly over in my $400 million jet and confiscate that third doll if I hear word. We're going to send ICE to get your little DEI dolls because anything that's DEI is just anything out of place. Anyways, so yeah, there's a lot of stories in the Bible that MAGA Christians are 100% living up to. I don't know, like, cool, the new pope from Chicago is like woke pope, right? Like, woke pope, fine, that's great that he's willing to call out Trump. But the church is a sex ring, right? Like, I don't know. If Trump wanted to be Pope, then, like, release the unredacted Epstein files so that we know that you're qualified. Like, this isn't all that different. And I don't know, man. I just think that the MAGA Christians are being actually quite biblical in a lot of ways. And I know that Jesus said, like, love the poor or whatever, but there's also verses in the Bible saying, like, a woman's hair is her glory. And then we have a story of a woman breaking her best perfume. She's allegedly super poor. Jesus comes to her house. She's so stoked. So she, like, takes her glory out of her scrunchie, right? She's like, let me unscrunchie my glory. And then she breaks her bottle of perfume. Jesus has been walking in sandals. I remember hearing so much about the fact that Jesus wore sandals. People were like, why is his feet so dirty? Why wasn't he just riding escalators? It was like us American kids trying to figure out this Bible story. And Sunday school teachers like, no, yeah, his feet were rank, like gross, ew. So she unscrunches her glory, breaks her best perfume over Jesus's toes, and washes his feet with them. So if we want to talk about these misogynists within the MAGA realm, like, I don't know, man. This is my glory? Are you kidding me? Like, sometimes I have oily glory. Sometimes I have dandruffy glory. What? No. So another goal that we had was to be a Psalms 31 woman. That is Old Testament. So Christians want to say, like, oh, we don't really do the Old Testament. Hell no, dude. Psalms, that's at every funeral. That's at every wedding. Like, no, y'all do Old Testament. Y'all just want us to think y'all don't touch that whole section because so many verses are just rife with bigotry. So y'all just don't want us to look at it at all, even though y'all are, and y'all are quoting it everywhere. Yeah, Psalms 31 woman says she waits at the city gates for her husband. It talks about how the good woman, I think they call it, I don't know if they call it a good woman or godly woman, but the implication is like, if you're a badass bitch, this is what you do. You wake up early, you make food for your family, you do housework. Your husband, he goes off, he does the politics thing, you wouldn't understand. Wait at the city gates, because that man should not have to walk home alone. Don't go in the city gates and walk like, whoa. Let's not overstep, but do not let him walk home alone, because that is a good Psalm 31 woman. Yeah. So anyways, I guess just the last thing, and it's kind of a funny thing, is like Christians are so anti-porn, but there's a book called The Song of Solomon that I swear, like, if somebody was just on Pornhub reading the Song of Solomon, like, it might become a category, right? Just verses from Solomon. It's like, I want to climb your tree and take your fruits. It's some juicy stuff, right? Like, growing up, it was so confusing because it was like, not only are you not supposed to be sexual because you're not married, you're not supposed to be sexual because you're a woman, and women don't have impure thoughts, which is why only you need to protect your brothers in Christ by covering up, right? And then they were like, but read the Bible every day. Read the Bible. And they never said any of the books were off limits, even though that's what they tell the secular world. Like, oh, this Old Testament's off limits for y'all because you just wouldn't understand how loving our God is now. But yeah, that's a spicy-ass book. So I wasn't allowed, like, I felt guilty about porn, but I also felt guilty about the Bible. So it was like an awkward loophole. Holes. Anyways, yeah, I don't get the logic in saying, like, it's not Christian to be MAGA and that Jesus wouldn't have, like, yeah, I get that people are saying he would have been deported if he were here. I get it. It's kind of a moot point just because most Americans, like, they're the ones, MAGA people, if they're the ones you want to reach with that message, they're going to refuse to believe that Jesus was a brown person anyways. So, like, I see the comments that are like, you would have deported him. Like, bro, the picture on their living room wall, right above their toilet in their bathroom, the picture in their wallet, it's tattooed on their ass cheek, likely is a white Jesus. So that's a moot point for them. Don't tell them y'all would have deported them. Like, no, we don't deport white people. We import them from South Africa. Even though they're the people that apparently propagated the idea of, like, white supremacy within South Africa. So we need to bring them here and give them little flags and have taxpayers pay for their food and housing and stuff. But yeah, just happy early birthday to Trump. There's a town in Texas that spends $50,000 on their fireworks celebration, and I want to advocate that their city council just cancel those funds to fund Trump's birthday celebration of fireworks. He can have even more fireworks at his parade. Big boy birthday. Big boy birthday, big boy birthday. Anyways, I just find it so strange. I remember somebody complaining once that their employee was like, oh, they're too old to be asking off work for their birthday. What was he thinking? I haven't ever done that my whole life, right? Like, obviously an older person. I don't know. Just like, not obviously. I don't know why I said that exactly. But, like, oh, I've never done that my whole life. And it's like, okay, but you voted for a president who's asking you to pay for fireworks for his birthday. But it's absurd that your employee asked you to not pay him for a day so that he could go celebrate his own birthday just with the money that he's earned from working for you. Like, this president's been working for you, but probably not the way you want, right? Like, he's just getting a congrats for crashing my 401k gift. Oh, it's Biden's economy. It's Biden's economy. Anyways, MAGA Christians make a lot of sense to me. My bad. I know that it's probably not the message we need to get out if we want to be divided, because then the right's just going to say, like, oh, war on Christmas. See, this video proves it. But, like, I'm just pointing out hypocrisy. You're the salt of the earth. You're called to be alien to the world. Do not be yoked with non-believers. Like, why are y'all even mad? Why are y'all even involved in politics? Honestly, why are y'all even fucking around with the secular world when you're called to be alien? You're called to obey the law of the land also. That's a verse in the Bible. But he who protects his country breaks no law. Am I right? I don't know. Let me know if y'all hear from God about what we do about that little nuance of there not being laws, but we're supposed to obey the law of the land. Let me know. Bye.